Jaya Rukmini Dorkadish, Rukmini Dorkadish, Rukmini Dorkadish, Rukmini Dorkadish. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Goranitai, 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 Jaya Goranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanandi Hari Bo, Jaya Om Vishnu Pad, Paramahamsa Parivrajak Acharya Asatar Sata Sri Shriman. ISKCON BBT founder Charles Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravisha Om Vishnu Pad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sakahosh Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopana Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Gira Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Brajabhumi Namadam Ki Jai, Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Shri Nahal Chal Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shrimati Tulsi Mahani Ki Jai, the most beautiful Lordship Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish Ki Jai, Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkanath Ki Jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gornitai Ki Jai, Samabeta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Going back to home, back to Godhead Ki Jai, ISKCON Los Angeles Yatra Ki Jai. Brihad Madanga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai, International Food for Life Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai, Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Hadirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God and Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, who is the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly attending the Srimad Bhagavatam class and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, whose worship with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're continuing our reading from the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 17. Today's text is 20. Hiranyaksho Manujas Tasya Priya Pritikrid Anvaham Gada Panir Divam Yato Yuyotsur Mrigayan Ranam Hiranyakshona Jastasya Priyak Pritikrit Anvaham Kadapanir Divangyato Yoyotsur Mrigayan Ranam Hiranyakshona Jastasya Priyak Pritikrit Anvaham Kadapanir Divangyato Yoyotsur Mrigayan Ranam Hiranyakshona Jastasya Priyak Pritikrit Anvaham Gadapanir Divangyato Yoyotsur Mrigayan Ranam. Please sit. Hiranyakshona Jastasya Priyak Pritikrit Anvaham Gadapanir Divangyato Yoyotsur Mrigayan Ranam. Vaishnavis. Hiranyakshona Jastasya Priyak Pritikrit Anvaham Gadapanir Divangyato Yoyotsur Mrigayan Ranam. Hiranyakshona Jastasya Priyak Pritikrit Anvaham Okay, synonyms. Hiranyaksha, Hiranyaksha. Anujaha, younger brother. Tasya, his. Priyaha, beloved. Pritikrit, ready to please. Anu aham, every day. Gadapanihi, with a club in hand. Divam, to the higher planets. Yataha, traveled. Yuyutsuhu, desirous to fight. Mrigayan, seeking. Ranam, combat. Srila Prabhupada's translation for this verse. His younger brother, Hiranyaksha, was always ready to satisfy his elder brother by his activities. Hiranyaksha took a club on his shoulder and traveled all over the universe with a fighting spirit just to satisfy Hiranyakashipu. Please repeat. His younger brother, Hiranyaksha, was always ready to satisfy his elder brother by his activities. Hiranyaksha took a club on his shoulder and traveled all over the universe with a fighting spirit just to satisfy Hiranyakashipu. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The demoniac spirit is to train all family members to exploit the resources of this universe for personal sense gratification, whereas the godly spirit is to engage everything in the service of the Lord. Hiranyakashipu was himself very powerful, and he made his younger brother Hiranyaksha powerful to assist him in fighting with everyone and lording it over material nature as long as possible. If possible, he wanted to rule the universe eternally. These are demonstrations of the spirit of the demoniac living entity. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarane Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manomishang Stapitang Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sopadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagadatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitangsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhya Shah Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So how many have siblings, brother or sister? Did you ever, there's an English word, inveigle, which means to prod, push forward your sibling to do something wrong just so you could have some fun, or maybe so that you would stay out of trouble. Like sometimes the older sibling tells the younger one, go in the kitchen and take those cookies. But mommy said that, no, you don't go take it. Don't worry, just bring it to me. So we all have that tendency to get other people in trouble for our satisfaction. Not just siblings, but it extends to everybody we meet practically. We like to get others in trouble, or at least put them in the possibility of getting in trouble for our satisfaction. And then quite often when they do get in trouble, we say, I had nothing to do with it. I didn't tell him to do that. Why would he do that? That's crazy, isn't it? So all tendencies that we have, that we observe in ourselves and in others, have their perfection in Krishna. So here, Hiranyakashipu and in Hiranyaksha, they have this fighting spirit. They want to go and lord it over the universe. And they're ready to fight. If you don't do what I say, if you don't get out of my way, I'll smash you. That's the mood. So where's that mood coming from? That's there in the Supreme. Krishna and Balaram, when they came, they definitely dominated everyone. Especially, well, even before that. So many times, so many demons came into Vrindavan. Most of them were killed by Krishna, but some were killed by Balaram. So from the very childhood, they were exhibiting this fighting spirit, this dominant nature, which is not generally expected from persons in the Vaishya community. They appeared as sons of Vasudeva, who was a Kshatriya for sure, but then they were both sent to Vrindavan, where they were raised in the Vaishya community. So generally in the Vaishya community, you don't expect that kind of spirit of wanting to fight and dominate other human beings. Yes, they have to take control to some degree of nature, plowing, Krishi Gorak Shivani Jam, taking charge of the cows and bulls, which is not easy, as we've discovered in ISKCON. In ISKCON, we've created so many farms that have failed. Why? Because we repeatedly take young people, boys and girls from cities and put them on the farm and expect them to be happy and perform properly there. So I've always said from way back, if you want to have successful farms in ISKCON, then go preach to farmers. People who are already doing that, it's their natural inclination to plow and take charge of cows and bulls, and then you make them devotees, and then you have perfect situation. But if you take city dwellers from Mumbai or Calcutta or New York or Los Angeles, and you put them on a farm somewhere and expect them to be happy, and it's not going to work. It's not their nature, and it's very difficult once you've reached adulthood to change your basic nature. It's not easy. So that's why we've had so many spectacular farm failures in ISKCON, because we neglected to preach to the farmers, and we preach to city dwellers and then take them to the farm and expect them to be happy there. It doesn't work. I know personally, I lived on the Alacha farm for 2 years, and after 2 years, I had gone there with Jayadvaita Maharaj. We moved the BTG operation there. And after 2 years, I said, Maharaj, I joined in New York. I'm a city person. I can't function. So I said, let's find somebody. I'll train them to do what I'm doing, and I'll go back to. At the time, I'd gone from San Diego, so I went back to San Diego. So we can't fight our natural inclination. And Prabhupada saw that. He saw that many of us were, city rats. So he put the city rats to work in the cities. He didn't say no, simple living, high thinking, go live on the farm immediately. No, it's not possible. So he put the city dwellers to preach in the cities. Go out, go on the subways, go on the streets, chant Hare Krishna, induce people to buy my books. Prabhupada put that raw energy. We had that raw city rat passion. So Prabhupada said, yes, you're not going to get rid of that overnight. So go out, go on the streets, distribute books, chant Hare Krishna, go to colleges, go like that, preach. And so we did that. And this is how Prabhupada expanded his movement very intelligently. I know I was a college student walking down the street, J Street in Brooklyn, New York, and I saw Deva Amrita Das Brahmachari sitting at a book table. That's how I became a devotee, got Krishna in the Reservoir of Pleasure. So it works. It works. Prabhupada knew the formula. You can't take the passion out of the city dwellers, so let them use their passion in Krishna service. Go out on the streets, chant. And this is there, even if you're not in the mode of passion. We see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he attracted mostly, I would say, mode of goodness types. But he did the same thing. He took his brahmacharis and grihastas out on the street to chant Hare Krishna. So this chanting on the streets must go on, and this city preaching must go on. But at the same time, we should not neglect the Vaishya aspect of our movement. Some devotees, either by birth or by training, have to take charge of creating farm communities, because the world, as we can see, is falling apart rapidly. Rapidly. What is the price of gasoline now? $7 a gallon, something like that? And it can possibly double overnight because of all the wars. Now this war between Israel and Hamas, and just the fighting spirit, when it's not properly utilized, this is what happened. This is what happens. It results in just mass slaughter. And it's not accidental. We know that if persons are not trained to live pious lives, but to speak of transcendental, yes, we want to get to the transcendental platform, but at first we have to at least aim for the mode of goodness. If people are trained in the mode of goodness, which even the Westerners can understand, they've summarized in one golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So who would want somebody to break down their door and shoot up their family? Nobody in their right mind would want that. So why would you want to do that to somebody else? See, this is passion and ignorance. I don't want it to happen to me. The biggest anti-thief personalities on the world are the biggest thieves. You try to steal something from a thief, he'll kill you. You see? But they go out every day and they plan robberies, breaking into banks, holding up people on the street. But if you went to their home and tried to take even an apple off their tree, they would shoot you. So they don't like anything to be stolen from them, but they go out and steal every day. So this is the mode of passion and ignorance. Ignorance, mostly. can't even see clearly that things I don't want done to myself, I shouldn't do to others. But this is the state of the world nowadays, because there's no systematic training in spiritual understanding. People are not trained from the beginning of life to understand that I'm a spirit soul, I'm not this body. This body is like a vehicle that I'm incarcerated in temporarily. But as you chant Hare Krishna, you become self-realized. You realize the self as different from the soul, from the body. The soul is different from the body. Like yesterday, I went and had this cyst removed from my head. You know, they give a local anesthesia, but you can still feel, and not just feel, hear everything, the scraping and the cutting. But, you know, if you understand I'm not this body, then it doesn't disturb you. You understand this is a little maintenance of the car, of the body, and, you know, it'll be done in a few minutes and nothing to freak out about. Just like you take your car to, you know, Liberty Tire and they do some work and you watch, you observe. Or sometimes you're in the car while it's going through the car wash and, you know, the car is being washed, it's not happening to you, so you don't freak out. So similarly, people have to be trained to be dhira, to be sober. The things that are happening to the body, I'm observing them. It's not really happening to me. The body is changing constantly, but I'm not changing. I am the fixed observer. Those of us who are in our 70s or even older, Maharaj is 91 this month, we know, we've observed this body go through so many transformations. From the tiny body to whatever it is now at age 70 or 90. So we don't freak out when the body naturally goes through these transformations. And the final transformation is death. That cannot be avoided. So this Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, because they're born of the Prajapati Kashyapa Muni, they know this. They know this. Later on, after Hiranyaksha is killed by Lord Varaha, Hiranyakashipu actually gives a great class to his relatives. You know, we're not this body, we're a spirit soul. Don't lament. It's inevitable. Death is inevitable, etc. He gave a great class. But it doesn't sink in. It's superficial. Just like nowadays, there are so many spiritual leaders and so many spiritual traditions. They don't know the ABCs of spiritual life. But they spout. They quote from this Shastra or that scripture. And it sounds good. And people applaud and they give money, donations to their particular church or whatever, because the sermon made them feel good. But it doesn't get to the root cause of the existence or the root cause of the problems of your existence, the root cause of why we're not happy in this material world. So that root cause is that we are eternal spiritual beings trying to find happiness in a temporary material situation. That's all you need to tell people. And when we speak in schools, like I have a class coming up on Friday at Loyola High School downtown. It's one of the last remaining all-boys high schools in the country. So these are very bright young men. A lot of big wigs in this area, LA and environs, they send their sons there because they know they get a good education. So literally, it's a fight to get their sons placed in the school. They get a good education. One of the reasons why they get a good education, I ask students all this, why was it always the case that there were boys' schools and girls' schools? Why? And the students understand immediately, because I can concentrate. You concentrate better on your studies when the opposite sex is not around. But they're trying to get rid of this. This is one of the last ones remaining, and they're saying it's not fair. This is how they developed the old boys club, and the girls can't break in, and so they want to destroy it. With predictable results. But when I was a child, that's the way it was. Practically, kindergarten was mixed, but then practically from elementary school on, it was boys' schools and girls' schools. Boys' college, girls' college, like that. Because even materially, it makes sense. You can concentrate on what you're supposed to learn. And the first lesson is supposed to be that you're not this body, you're a spirit soul. Learn this fact before you grow old. Don't wait till the end of life, because if you wait till that point, it's too late. It has to be inculcated from the beginning of life. Komar Acharya Pragyo Dharmam Bhagavatam Iha. Hiranyakashipu's son, Prahlad, will teach this later on. That Komar, from the tender age of 5, is when these things should be taught. Up to 5, all right, let them play and they speak all nonsense, whatever. But from 5 years old on, they should be systematically indoctrinated. Just like now they're accusing the Russians of doing that. They take children from Ukraine and take them to Russia and systematically indoctrinate them that you're not Ukraine. Ukraine doesn't exist. You're a Russian. And then later on they'll send those same children to fight against their relatives in Ukraine. So systematic indoctrination from the beginning of life is good if it's done in the right way for the right purpose. So we shouldn't shy away from that. Those who are parents, this is your prime responsibility. Don't just toss them into the meat grinder education system that exists out there. Even if you think that you have to send them to, as we say, Karmi school, at least at home, they should be indoctrinated. Chant Hare Krishna, hear from Bhagavad Gita, memorize Bhagavad Gita. In many of our ISKCON schools, they still do that. They get the children to memorize. I've told a story in '95 when I was in Moscow. They had a very nice school there. And the 7-year-old kids, the teacher asked me, do you want them to recite Bhagavad Gita for? Yes. And so they recited from memory the first chapter, which is very, very difficult. Dharma Checha, Kuru Checha, Samaveta Yutsava. Mamaka Pandavasraiva, Kima Korvata Sanjaya, first verse. It's a very difficult chapter to memorize because it's mostly names of the soldiers on both sides and not so easy. But they knew it. How? Repetition. Repetition. As Prabhupada said many times, repetition is the mother of learning. So that remains true for the rest of life. You don't absorb Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam just by coming to class. You got to read it on your own and memorize. Try, at least try. You may not be able to remember all 700 slokas of the Gita, but at least remember a few. At least try to remember a few. One verse from Bhagavad Gita can save you if you remember at the time of death. If you remember just one shloka from Bhagavad Gita. But it's not just about memorization. This story I've also told when they used to have, well, they still do, I think. They used to have pretty big Ratha Yatra in Laguna. And most of us from LA would go down and assist. So I was doing the book table one year, and one Indian gentleman came up to me, just out of the blue, no, hi, how are you? Just say, I know the entire Bhagavad Gita. So I know a few shlokas, so I started testing him, and he knew his stuff. He knew his verses. And so he said, and now my goal is to learn all 18,000 shlokas of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I was impressed. Wow, this guy is... So the elder Mahavishnu Swami was still alive at that time. So many of you may not have met him. Indian body. And very, very down to earth, very practical, very insightful preacher. So he was there. And I told Maharaj, see this guy over here? He knows the entire Gita, and he said he's going to memorize the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. So Maharaj looked over, and he said, where's the bead bag? I don't see any bead bag. He said, if he actually knows the Bhagavad Gita, the meaning of Bhagavad Gita, he will be chanting Hare Krishna. I don't see that he's chanting Hare Krishna. So it's not just about theoretical knowledge, knowing the Bhagavad Gita. A lot of Mayavadis know the Gita by heart, but still they don't accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have to learn the scriptures from a devotee of the Lord. That's where Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is comes in. Because there were so many editions of the Gita before Prabhupada came. So many editions in English of the Bhagavad Gita. But nobody was becoming a devotee of Krishna. Prabhupada said that many times. Where were no devotees of Krishna? But he said, as soon as I came and gave them Bhagavad Gita as it is, immediately they started becoming devotees of Krishna. So we have to learn the scriptures from a person. We have to learn Bhagavat from the person Bhagavat. Somebody who's, and the person Bhagavat means he's a worshipper of, he or she are worshippers of Bhagavan. If you're thinking yourself to be Bhagavan, then you've missed the whole point, which is what the Mayavadis do. They think they're equal to God. They think they're equal to God. We're all, they address each other as Narayan, because they think they're all Narayan. But we're not. We're minuscule, as Prabhupada was saying on Sunday. Minute part and parcel of Krishna. If you analyze one drop of seawater, it's same chemical composition as the vast ocean, but quantitatively not the same. Achintya Beta Beta Tattva, Prabhupada was explaining. Simultaneous, inconceivable, simultaneous oneness and difference. So this is the crux of our philosophy, not our philosophy, that coming down in our line from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu especially stressed this. Achintya Beta Abeta Tattva. Simultaneously one with and different from the Supreme Lord. qualitatively the same, but quantitatively no comparison. So these two jivas, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, they're on a different level of existence than we are. We can't even begin to understand their level of existence. They're born from the Kashyapa Muni, the Prajapati Kashyapa, and his wife Diti, who's one of the 13 daughters of Daksha. So they're on a whole different level of existence. They are capable of doing things that we can't even dream of doing. Interplanetary travel that we are struggling to try to achieve, they can do whatever they want. That's why he had aspiration to conquer the universe. You can't conquer the universe if you can't travel all over the universe. So he had that ability, just naturally. He had that natural ability to travel all over the universe. So Hiranyaksha is mentioned today to please his elder brother Hiranyakashipu, who took a club on the shoulder and he's traveling all over the universe in a fighting spirit. Later on he'll challenge Varuna, and Varuna will inform him that I'm too old now, I'm not going to fight you, but don't worry, you'll have a worthy opponent very soon. When that most ancient person, Lord Vishnu, incarnates, he will take you to battle and he will take care of the business. And if we don't do that, if we don't inculcate this Vaishnava Dharma, read the Vaishnava Shastras, learn them, and teach them to others, then everything is defeated. Paravavas tavada bodhajata. This is what is taught in the 5th canto. This is 555, very nice verse to learn. Easy to remember where it is, 555. Paravavas tavada bodhajata. Yavana jigyasata atma tattva. If you don't inquire into atma tattva, the truth behind the self and the supreme self, then whatever you do is defeated. And we see that. They just speculate about how to solve the problems of the world, how to make people happy, and it doesn't work. Generally they come to the conclusion, economic development. Let's develop the economy and everybody will be happy. But they've been trying this since time immemorial, and it doesn't work. The Romans, they wanted to expand their economy, and they went all over the planet, conquering one country and another country and sending the goods back to Rome, and it fell apart. Fell apart. Every single empire that has come on the face of this earth has fallen apart because they're missing the main point, which is surrender to Krishna, service to Krishna. So we're very fortunate we have come to this conclusion, or we are on the path of coming to that conclusion and living that lifestyle of surrender to Krishna, serving Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, Shri Shri Gauranitai, spreading their glories all over. By going out on Harinam, by going out on book distribution, and by interpersonal interaction. It's not convincing if we go out to the public and tell them to take this lifestyle, but then we come back to New York and we can't stand each other. It doesn't work. It's not going to be very convincing. So we have to give up this fighting spirit. It's there naturally because it's in Krishna, but it has to be controlled. And instead of going out and fighting against the material energy, we fight with each other. This is Kali at work. Kali's business is to induce us to fight with each other. And we see that in our community. The devotees fight over the trifle, simplest things. I want in the Pujari room something to be here, and you want it to be there. So we hate each other, we fight constantly. I want it over here, you want it over there. And that's why you need, in every department, a head who decides, okay, it's going to be here. That's it, no more fighting. It's going to stay here, no more fighting. And we should go along with that. That's what it means, surrender. Surrender means you have to give up this fighting spirit voluntarily and follow a leader. So in every department there's a leader, in the community there's a leader, for the whole movement we have our leader, we follow. Anu, as it's mentioned here today, Anu. Anu means to follow. Anuja, the one who came afterwards. So Hiranyaksha, even though he came out of the womb first, he's considered to be the younger, and therefore he voluntarily follows his older brother, Hiranyakashipu. Anuja, whatever my elder brother tells me to do, I will do. Pick up a club, go and fight, smash everybody. So we're not asking you to do that. Prabhupada is not asking us to do that. Although he did indicate in the future the time may come when the devotees may have to take up arms against the non-devotees. But we're not being asked to do that. We're being asked simply, chant Hare Krishna every day, 16 rounds nicely, follow the 4 regular principles, eat only Krishna Prasadam, do your level best to help Maintain the movement. If you can't increase the movement, Prophet said, at least maintain what I gave you. So we should all have that spirit to cooperatively maintain what's here, and if possible, go out and expand it by distributing books, Harinam, festivals. Everything is laid out for us. We don't have to smash our head against the wall and figure out what to do. Just fall into some track and follow that track. Every day, open the Bhagavad Gita Museum so people can come and see. And they appreciate it. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people coming out of the museum and I've asked them, what was your experience? Oh, it's so wonderful. Wonderful. It's so mind-expanding. This simple little museum that we have here. It may seem simple, but the subject matter is profound. The subject matter is spiritual. And therefore, because we're spiritual beings, when we come in contact with genuine spiritual knowledge, we feel uplifted. We feel enlivened. So they come out of the museum and immediately they want to go to Govinda's and take prasadam, go upstairs to the gift shop, see what's up there. This little museum, don't underestimate it. It has a very, very big impact on anybody who goes through it. So we should maintain the museum, maintain the gift shop, maintain the restaurant, everything, just maintain. If we simply maintain what's here in New Dwarka, we have done a great job. What to speak of if we can expand it to others. So we'll stop here. Maybe there's time for one or two questions. Yes, Arcita Prabhu.
Hi, Prabhuji. Thank you for a nice class. In the purport, in the very beginning, there's a quote here that the demoniac spirit is to train all family members to exploit the resources of this universe for personal sense gratification. That's very interesting because Papa says that what happens is that the chain of demoniac mentality continues. So how do we rectify that as devotees in terms of, our family members, and even how do we present that to individuals that love their wife, love their children, their grandma and grandpa, and they're just wanting them to be happy, so they do whatever they can in order to satisfy the family members, and that means that they're exploiting to some extent, some more than others. So how do we rectify that? How do we present that to individuals that are in that situation?
Yes, even the biggest demon has some spot of goodwill, at least towards some people. And therefore, Prabhupada used to quote, it's better to make an intelligent person your enemy than to make a fool your friend. Because if you make friends with fools, in the name of friendship, they'll try to get you to do all kinds of things that are actually destructive to your existence. Hey, take this beer. Come on, you guys are too uptight. What's the harm if you take a drink once in a while? They try to convince you like that. You guys are too uptight. Come on, relax. Have a, smoke this or drink that. No, don't. No, this is friendship of fools. Whereas an intelligent person, even if you consider them to be your enemy, they won't harm you. They won't give you bad advice. So purification is required. We all have, again, these tendencies to fight. It's there, it's natural because it's in Krishna, but it has to be channeled and dovetailed properly. Some of us have to be trained to be kshatriyas, to protect others. And in general, we have to be trained to cooperate for the satisfaction of the Lord. Otherwise, again, even in the family, I remember I was in Armenia in '95, and some devotees there were explaining how the Armenian culture is actually nice. I met a lot of nice Armenians on the street, but it's, on the other hand, downside is that the family bond is so strong that if you become a devotee and you go visit some relative, some cousin, some uncle, and they give you some alcohol or a meat sandwich or something and you refuse, they want to kill you. You think you're better than me? What is going on here? Why have you changed like this? You become like a foreigner of some kind. I'm trying to do something nice for you, I'm giving you nice food and you're refusing it. And they get extremely angry. In America, okay, they'll say, well, you're just maybe, misled or whatever. But in some cultures, if you deviate from the family culture, the family traditions, they want to kill you. They will literally kill you for doing that. So this is ignorance. This is ignorance. In our culture, maintaining family, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that to maintain a devotee family is not Maya. So we shouldn't get confused. If you have children, a wife, maintaining the family in Krishna consciousness is not Maya. It's a responsibility, it's a duty that one has to perform. And it should be done joyfully. If the children are dancing in kirtan, every night they come, they see the deities, and who wouldn't be happy by that? Who wouldn't be happy by that? You have to be. You have to be happy when your children are being attracted to Krishna. And so, if the wife, the husband, and the children are Krishna conscious, then family life is happy. But at the same time, one should be willing to give up family life that's not conducive for Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada tells the story of the sparrows, that, you know, when the birds have chicks, usually the mother stays home and the father goes out shopping, constantly bringing home worms and whatever. So the father was out shopping for prasadam or whatever, bringing it back. And when he came back, he saw the baby chicks had fallen into a net of a hunter, and the mother was so distraught, she went to try to save them. She got caught. So Prabhupada said he surveyed the situation, and then he intelligently decided to take sannyas. He didn't try to save them. They can't be saved. So it's the same thing. If the children, the wife, husband turn out to be materialistic, and you can't do anything about it, save yourself. You chant Hare Krishna. You go out and distribute Krishna consciousness. Don't get caught up in the same net. Oh, I have to save them, and therefore I have to do what they're doing. And no, save yourself. Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.